Skin the Hardaway Southern T, back with another EP. Y'all do your boy a favor, y'all smash that like button for your boy when you roll on in. Whether you're here for a good time or a long time, I greatly appreciate you sliding through. Whether this your first time, could you do your boy a favor? Don't make it your last time. Hit that subscription button. We talk this good boxing and sports every single day, not just today. I ain't gonna hold up too much of y'all time today with this EP. Today with this EP, we here with the fight breakdown and prediction between Jesus Ramos Jr. and Erickson the Hammer Lubin. Erickson Lubin, 25, 2 losses, 18 KOs, and been stopped twice himself. He stands 5'11 with a 74.5 arm reach. And Erickson Lubin is facing off against Jesus Ramos. Jesus Ramos is 20-0 with 16 KOs. He stands 5'10 with a 72-inch arm reach. Now, the first thing that jumps out at me about this fight is that on the surface, when you look at both fighters, most people are going to think that Jesus Ramos is the bigger, taller fighter, when actually, in this case, the bigger and the taller fighter is Erickson Lubin. Erickson Lubin has 2.5 inches of arm reach on Jesus Ramos, and he has an inch in height on Jesus Ramos. So where Jesus Ramos normally has, the size and the reach advantage over most of his opponents, in this particular fight, he won't have the size and the reach advantage over Erickson Lubin. Jesus Ramos he's a southpaw fighter. He likes to come forward and he likes to bring that pressure. In his last fight, he ended up stopping Joey Spencer. In his fight before that, he fought Luke Santa Maria in a fight in which he won against Luke Santa Maria. But I think Luke Santa Maria, gave him a nice test, gave him a couple problems. What he showed was if, you don't stand right there in front of Jesus Ramos, it makes it a little harder fight for Jesus Ramos to win. Erickson Lubin's last fight was against Luis Arias. Erickson Lubin, he ended up stopping Luis Arias in the 5th round TKO. It was apparent that early in that fight that Erickson Lubin was just a much better fighter than Luis Arias. He was able to hit him and not be hit seemingly anytime, that he wanted to. His fight before that one, right, Sebastian Fundora, which is the more memorable fight, right? Erickson Lubin had his face, reconstructed in that fight. But I took some good things from that fight, and I took, some bad things from that fight. The good part about it is, in his fight with Luis Arias, he didn't do the same bad habit things that he did in that fight with Sebastian Fundora, but he did carry some of the good habit things he did in that fight with Sebastian Fundora into that fight. If you watch the first 2 rounds of that fight with Fundora, Erickson Lubin was doing, pretty good. He was landing, his jab to the up top, landing his jab to the body, using his feet. He pretty much looked like he was on another level than Sebastian Fundora. And then somewhere between the end of the second and the start of the third, Erickson Lubin decided that he wanted to bang with Fundora, and we all know what happened. I said that to say, as long as Erickson Lubin is using his jab, right, as long as Erickson Lubin is thinking, as long as Erickson Lubin is using his boxing ability, Erickson Lubin could beat just about anybody in this division. Erickson Lubin gets into trouble when he wants to inside fight with fighters, and he can inside fight. He is a good inside fighter, but that's where Erickson Lubin opens himself up to punishment, is when he fights on the inside. I think it behooves Erickson Lubin more so to use his boxing ability, his skill, his boxer puncher, rather than his inside fighting ability in these fights. With Jesus Ramos, he's a pressure come forward fighter. Not necessarily a guy with his range, right? He's not necessarily a guy who likes to stay on the outside, right? Use his jab and pick people apart. He uses his jab, but he uses his jab to get off his hooks and his body works and his power shot. As you can see in his last fight with Bector Bully, Jesus Ramos, he didn't have to even come forward in that fight. He didn't have to work as hard as he would normally have to work, because Bector Bully stood stood right in front of him, and that's what led to both the bully getting knocked out. I think that fight was more of a setup fight for Ramos to look well. You know, Styles make fights, and Joey Spencer's, not Boke the Bully, my bad, I'm sorry, I said Boke the Bully, I mean Joey Spencer, I stay getting those guys confused. And Joey Spencer's style was all wrong for Jesus Ramos, and he ended up stopping Joey Spencer in highlight fashion. In this case, Erickson Lubin is not going to be right in front of you, you know, to hit like Joey Spencer was. I'm thinking Erickson Lubin is going to fight more like he did against Luis Ariz than he did against Sebastian Fundora. Erickson Lubin, I'm thinking, having being the taller fighter, the bigger fighter with the longer reach, I'm thinking he's going to use his boxing ability and he's going to keep this fight cleaner, like he naturally fights, rather than going in there and trying to get into a slugfest with Jesus Ramos. And if Erickson Lubin, he can use his jab, use his 2.5 inches of reach, and frustrate Jesus Ramos, kind of like Luke Santamaria did. The scorecards in that Santa Maria fight, I think, were a little wide. I think Santa Maria, you know, had a case of, you know, maybe again the win in that fight, a draw type thing. The score was 97-93. That's about 4 rounds, right? I think the score was more so like 97-95. You know what I mean? I think it was closer. I think it was a closer fight than, you know, the scorecards indicated. You got one judge had it 98-92. 97-93, 97-93, right? I think that fight was more 96-94, you know what I mean, 95, you know, I think that fight was more 96-94, you know what I mean, something like that, a little closer. But I think Santa Maria did expose something in that fight, and I think he exposed something that Erickson Lubin will be able to take advantage of. Erickson Lubin is also a harder pound-for-pound puncher than Santa Maria, so he's going to have more pop on his punches than the Santa Maria. Erickson Lubin's boxing ability accumulated with him having the pop on his punches, accumulated with Jose, you know, this being Jose Ramos' biggest fight up to this date. I think Erickson Lubin's experience is going to see him through this fight. And I do think Erickson Lubin is going to be able to get the decision over Jesus Ramos. I wouldn't be surprised if both of these guys got knocked down right in this fight. I'm not expecting the brawl. I'm expecting more of a technical battle that Erickson Lubin is going to win. The 2 inches in reach, a lot of people are going to sleep on that. Because a lot of people think Ramos is a bigger fighter, but he's not. I think that 2 inches in reach is going to play a huge part in this fight, and I think Erickson Lubin is going to be able to control the range of this fight and be able to get the victory. But that's all I got. Erickson Lubin by decision in this fight. Skin at Hardaway Southern T. This ain't the past, this ain't the future, but this the present. That's how we rocking, and I'm out. Love.